Hello, so it is Monday evening and welcome to the start of a new vlog. It is kind of dark, so apologies for the lighting, and I will make this a very quick introduction, but I just wanted to let you know I've come out of work and I have already a book to update you on me finishing. So last night and a little bit this morning before work and then a little bit on my lunch break, I finished listening to the audiobook of The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill, and I loved this book so much. I was so impressed. It was everything I wanted out of this book, everything I love a middle grade to be. As I said partway through reading this book, I talked about in my last vlog, it felt a little bit different to a lot of the fantasy middle grades that I've read before. It felt a little bit maybe more old-fashioned, or like it had been translated, or like there was some kind of cultural feel to it that just didn't quite feel like anything I'd read before, which I really enjoyed. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Let me know if you've read this book, if you have any similar thoughts, but there was something just a little bit different about it, but in a really good way. I absolutely loved the story. It was very bittersweet in a lot of places, especially the ending. The ending was so sad, but also so heartwarming and just absolutely wonderful. I think I'm actually going to give this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I very rarely do that with middle grades, but I can't fault this book. It's not my favourite thing I've ever read in the world, but I cannot fault it. I think it was absolutely wonderful. So I really want to get hold of a physical copy so I can read this again. But it was a very good audiobook also, and I feel like the narrator really got into the character of the characters really well. So I definitely enjoyed consuming this as an audiobook, but I definitely want a copy, as I said, for my collection. Any 5-star book definitely deserves a place on my shelves. So I'm really glad that I've started the week on such a positive with such a wonderful book, and I'm going to head home now before it gets completely dark and make a start with the rest of my TBR for the week. I have lots of things that I want to get read this week, so I don't know which one I will pick up first, but I do also have a very busy week ahead of me, so fingers crossed we can fit some reading in. Who knows, but a positive start, and I will update you a little bit later on. Hello, so as you've just seen, I am just back from the library and have had great success in picking up the couple of books for my November TBR, which I didn't have physically and really wanted to read this month. So, first of all, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which I am so excited to read. I really want to pick up this book. Ever since I read the first couple of chapters just in a bookshop a couple of months ago, I've been itching to read this book. I initially hadn't picked it up, obviously this has been out for some time now and has had very good reviews, but I initially didn't pick it up because I know that it's kind of sad towards the end, and I don't tend to gravitate towards sad books. There is enough sadness in life without reading about it, in my opinion. However, I've heard this is just such a beautiful story, and I love the fact that it's inspired by characters from the ancient Greek stories, the heroes, and all the story of Troy and everything else. I love that background, and I'm really excited to actually read about it, so I thought I would just have to give this a try. Plus, I also really enjoyed Circe by Madeline Miller, so I feel like her writing style is something I will enjoy reading again in a different story. So this one is definitely one I'm very excited to read this month and hopefully will love. I also was very happy to find Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I am so excited to read this book. Stormlight Archives has been one of my favourite series I've read this year, and this one being the most recently published, I'm just desperate to see how this story carries on, to see what's happening to our characters. It's huge though. This is the hardback version, so they always look chunkier, but it's a good 1,000-page tome again, so going to take me some time, but I think I will save this for the last week of the month and try and get through this in, I think, about 10 days or something, including the 2 weekends. That should be enough. But I think I will race through it in the fact that I love it, so fingers crossed it doesn't disappoint, but I'm very excited to get to Rhythm of War. I also have the last of my physical books that I didn't actually own when filming my TBR has been delivered, so I think, if this is what I expect it to be, this is my Puffin Children's Classics version of The Wizard of Oz. I've been collecting this series and I'm very excited to now be adding this little beauty to my collection as well. So as usual, you have these beautiful cloth bound covers with the repeated illustrations. This one you can see is a beautiful red with little magic wands and stars and the cyclone and the Wicked Witch and then Dorothy's shoes at the bottom. I love these little books, they're gorgeous, and they always have nice contrasting end papers too. We have a pretty blue in this one. And oh, it's actually got some little illustrations too, which is quite funny. But I'm really, really excited to get to this one. It's a story I loved as a child, and it's about, let me see, about 185 pages, so it should be a fairly easy one to get through at some point. But I loved this story as a child. It was very whimsical, very ridiculous in parts, but also really heartwarming, and I love the descriptions of the characters and the adventure that Dorothy and Toto go on, so it will be interesting to see how I feel about this one, having not read it for probably a good 15 years, so fingers crossed we like this one too. So that's my little mini haul for you. I also have some reading progress to update. I finished earlier reading The Secret of Whitestone Gate by Julia Noble, the sequel to The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane, which I read a couple of months ago. I've thoroughly enjoyed both of these books. I really, really liked Whitestone Gate. It was such a wonderful story. Once again, 3 wonderful main characters. We had a new 4th kind of main character, in addition to their friendship group, and a slightly different twist on the kind of intrigue and the secret society mystery that we had in the first book. I was curious how this would work, as the first book was wrapped up quite well, so they could have gone in lots of different directions really with this, but it did follow on from the first, but with some extra levels of intrigue and a different kind of dynamic to the story. So I really enjoyed this. I think they're quite maturely written for middle grades. I find myself definitely caught up in the intrigue and in the tension of the story, quite apart from the fact that the main characters are 12-year-olds. And actually some of the stakes are pretty high for characters of their age, so I think it's perfectly appropriate to read this as an adult, but equally it would be wonderful for the target audience. I would have loved this when I was at school. It's a wonderful story, very strong characters as I said, and I hope there are many more books in this series because I'm loving reading about them. There is also something very cosy, I think, about boarding school stories. I think I never went to a boarding school, but I read a fair number of middle grades about characters in boarding schools back in the day when I was a child, and so I think there's something quite nostalgic about that for me to pick up a book with that kind of setting. So a thoroughly enjoyable book, another 4 out of 5 star middle grade, and one that I've thoroughly loved. So we're doing pretty well for Believathon reads so far actually. I loved The Girl Who Drank the Moon, I've loved The Secret of Whitestone Gate, I think I will love The Wizard of Oz because I've read it before, so we only have the 4th one, Skin Taker by Michelle Paver, to love, and that will be a very solid Believathon month, but we will see. There's still time, but everything's going well so far, so I will check in with you again when I have some more reading to update you with. Hello, so it's been a few days since I updated you, and I've been absolutely dreadful this week at both vlogging and reading. So I was just checking in to let you know that this will actually be a 2-week vlog. I'm going to incorporate next week's footage as well because I hardly have anything yet and nothing really exciting has happened in terms of my reading so far this week. I haven't read much throughout the week, as I said. I was busy with work, and then this weekend I've actually been helping out my dad at a show, doing some kind of event stuff and things, so haven't had much time for reading either, so very little has been done. I am, however, staying in a really cool hotel room because I actually have an airport runway right behind me, which you can just about see. You see the planes out there? So that's been really fun, just watching them. Oh wow, bright. Watching them take off and land at all times of the day and night. It's been great fun, so I might try and catch some footage of that for you, but otherwise I will see you again once I'm back home and hopefully have finally done some reading. Hello, so I'm just off to work. It's a super misty, horrible morning out there. I mean, it's beautiful. It's horrible to actually be out and about in, but it's beautiful to look at the November mist and the gorgeous colour in the trees. I feel like autumn has actually finally got here properly. So on my holiday last week, it was really, really lovely up there. The colours were just tremendous, but it is further north than I live. So back home, the colours are just not been great. Should not film in a moving vehicle. But now here, it's just suddenly started to turn this last couple of weeks, and it's really beautifully golden now, so it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm just so sad that I'm basically now nocturnal. Now the clocks have gone back, I leave for work in the dark and I leave work in the dark, and I just barely see any sunlight, and it's so depressing. So very sad, but it will also limit my outdoor footage. Unfortunately, it'll mean I'm only really filming on weekends and things outside, but nevertheless, at least I now have lighting in my house, and all the more reason to cozy up with fairy lights every evening, so I guess I can't complain too much. Hello, so just a quick update out of work. It is for once actually not dark. As I walked out of work, I'm getting so sick of this nocturnal lifestyle. I literally leave work basically at sunrise and then finish in the dark, and I just hate it so much. It's so depressing, but I like the cozy evenings. I just miss daylight. It's very sad, and it means I don't have much outdoor content for you this week, which is also very sad, but never mind. We'll try and get some sort of walk or something this weekend and enjoy the last of the autumn colours. Hopefully there will be something to show you. But anyway, so I'm just checking in terms of reading. So as you saw last night, I started The Royal Secret by Andrew Taylor. This is the 5th of the Marwood and Levitt books in that kind of historical crime series that I'm reading, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I've only read about 50 pages, but it's a very fast-paced read, so I think I should be able to get through this one pretty quickly. I'm hoping during the next day or two I can get that one completed. And I have this week, I also wanted to I wanted to read so much this week. I wanted to start Song of Achilles because I'm very, very excited about this one. I really, really want to read it. So I might make that maybe a weekend read. And I want to get to Return of the King too. I'm very excited about that one as well. So I don't know how long these were going to take me or how many I can fit in, but that's the plan for those. I also then have a couple of other books that I want to read or get started with over the weekend, so it's a very good thing I have not much in the way of plans because I have so much to read. But we can do it. We can definitely fit in a good chunk more of Royal Secret tonight. I really could do with sprints this evening. I don't know if anyone's running them. I will look out, but it would be very helpful, I think. So let's get home and let's get started reading, and I will update you with my progress a little later on. Hello, it is Wednesday evening. I'm not long back from work. It's about 5:30, I think. You can probably see 20 to 6, the clock behind me. And I've decided I'm going to have an early bath and do some reading this evening because I'm feeling a little bit meh this evening, you know, not quite sad, not quite anxious, just a little bit not perfect. So I think a cosy night is in order. I have lots of reading to carry on doing this week, so I think a nice relaxing bath and a session with my latest book will definitely cheer me up and make me feel a bit more myself. So I'm carrying on reading The Royal Secret by Andrew Taylor, this being the 5th book in the Marwood and Levitt series. I'm making pretty good progress. I am probably getting on for 2/3 of the way through. I think I'm on about page 279 of about 470, so I've got about 200 pages left, which I think I can probably do this evening, especially starting so early. So I'm going to go and enjoy this in the bath, maybe get through 50 pages or so, and then maybe go and make a nice cup of tea and, I don't know, get one of my ASMR rooms on or something and just try and relax and feel a little bit more calm and chilled out. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. Everyone has these days sometimes, right? Not everyone can be kind of bubbly, happy people all the time. So I'm in my safe space. I have no one to talk to this evening, nothing to do, no responsibilities. So I will make the most of it. And I will chat to you again a bit later when hopefully I might have finished this book and have some news for you. So I'm coming at you from a slightly different angle because I have received a parcel which I'm very, very excited about, so I thought I would open it with you. This is not a surprise, it's something which I have bought for myself and have been wanting for ages and finally decided to treat myself and get. So if we can open this up together. So this is, very excitingly, this beautiful, oh you can't see with the plastic, but it's the miniature editions of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien, which I have been rereading recently for the millionth time. I love these books, they are my favourite fantasy series, they're very, very nostalgic for me. Let's open the plastic so I can show you properly. But I have multiple editions of the series already, but I've seen these on a few different people's YouTube channels and thought I just have to have a set for myself. Also, look at these colours, they're beautifully autumnal. I love the kind of jewel tones, they're absolutely stunning. Look at those, really, really pretty. And this lovely slipcase as well. So I think they're vinyl, they look like they're leather bound, but I don't think it's real leather. But if we take out one at a time here, and this little stand, and you can see they're kind of mini editions. They've got the Tolkien symbol, it's like a rune for his signature. They're very floppy, look at this, beautiful, and they've got the maps at the front. Lovely rounded corners to the pages. And I'm just thoroughly excited to read these editions when I get round to yet another reread. So obviously the text is fairly small, but not too bad. They're not massive books anyway, so they fit quite nicely into these little pocket editions. And actually, I am planning to reread Return of the King this month, very soon hopefully, so maybe I'll actually read this edition, who knows. Oh, it's even got the appendices still in there. Wow, they really have crammed things into these. So they're absolutely gorgeous. I'm really, really happy to finally own this collection. I feel like I want to display them somewhere, but I'm not sure where in my room to have them. I do really, really want a Lord of the Rings specific shelf, but I currently have nowhere to put it. Let me turn you around so I can talk properly. There we go, that's better. So, as I said, I really want to get a specific shelf to display all my Lord of the Rings books because I have these, I have my original paperbacks, and I have some beautiful kind of big illustrated hardcover editions as well, which I absolutely love. And I have a few bits of merchandise and a big map and everything else, so I'd love to have a dedicated place to display them, but sadly I don't have the room at the moment, but maybe one day. But for now, these little beauties are in my possession and I'm so, so happy to have them. It's a nice little Friday present to myself. So, in other news, in terms of reading, I started last night and read the first 5 or 6 chapters, I think, of The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I've been really excited to read this book. I haven't read it for many years, it's been out for a while now, but I always put off reading it because I'd heard that it was sad, and I don't do sad books. There's enough sadness in the world and in my life and everything else at work without actually reading about it too. Reading is my escapism, so I like books with positive messages in them. But I have heard how beautifully written this book is, and I loved Madeline Miller's other book, Circe. I started reading a couple of chapters of this in a bookshop a couple of months ago, I think I've said before, and just thought it seemed really, really good, so was very keen to finally pick this one up. So this is my next read, and the one that I hope I can read a little bit more of this evening and into tomorrow. I do have quite a lot of reading planned for this weekend because in addition to this one, I also want to join in tomorrow with Pris's readathon of the Wayward Children series, so she is trying to read as many of the books in the series as possible within tomorrow. I don't know if it's a 24-hour thing or if she's just choosing tomorrow, but regardless, that's what's happening. So I only have one in the series left to read, which I'd planned to read this month anyway, actually, and that is the final one to be published to date, called Across the Green Grass Fields. I plan to read that one tomorrow to join in a little bit with Pris's read-along. And then I also want to try and get to another of my middle grade books because Gavin and Lexi are doing some live shows and things for Believeathon on Sunday. So I want to try to get to Skin Taker by Michelle Paver, which I'm very excited to read. How gorgeous is this book too? Look at these colours on the cover. I want to get to this one. It's not very long. It's 260 pages, so that should be a nice easy one to get to on Sunday, even though I am quite busy. I have a tennis match and a few family plans, but this can definitely get done. So hopefully throughout the weekend I will read these 2 books I will also read Across the Green Grass Fields, which I'm going to listen to via audiobook on Scribd. It's only a few hours, I think like 3 hours or something on the speed I would listen to, so definitely can get through that one tomorrow. Maybe I'll go on a walk and listen to that. That would be quite nice. Have an autumn walk tomorrow afternoon and take some footage of that. That would be fun. And then, as I said, I do also want to read Return of the King, so I have the other edition to hand here. These are my old paperback editions. They're quite battered. They were not mine first, but they were passed down to me, and I do really love them. So I may still read this one because it's a bit bigger and floppier, but we'll see. So I want to read this too. Ideally, I will start this weekend, because next week I have the big mammoth challenge of Rhythm of War to finish before the end of the month, to start and finish. And it's about 1,000 pages long, so I want to give myself time to space that one out. I also have one more middle grade to finish, but that's a nice easy one. So I want to have got as much of the rest of the stuff done as possible before I start Rhythm of War, so I can just fully focus on that one. But it does mean it gives me a lot of reading to do this weekend, so who knows whether I will actually get it all done or not. But that's the target, and we will see. So let's have a cosy Friday evening. I'm going down to make some dinner, I think, and I will do some reading after that, and hopefully check in with you again a bit later on. Also, I've just turned my light off and then realised I hadn't updated you on the book I finished on Wednesday, which is The Royal Secret by Andrew Taylor. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I raced through this book. Considering it's quite large, I finished it very easily within 2 evenings, and not particularly free evenings either, so I got through this in probably just a few hours. And thoroughly enjoyed it, as I said. I always like this series. I find it very captivating. I like the type of story. I like some of our main protagonists. I think this series has got stronger the further on we've got. The first one was okay. It wasn't my favourite thing in the world, but it was a good book, enough to make me want to read the second, and went out to the fifth, as I said, and I think the most recent couple have definitely been the strongest in terms of story. I really enjoyed everything about this. I liked how kind of dark and political it seemed, and very sort of treacherous plots, and you never quite knew whose side people were on or what their motivations were. There was also, there's a couple of children in this book who are actually quite dark characters, which I thought was brilliant. So if I read you the first bit of the synopsis: London 1670, 2 young girls plot a murder by witchcraft. Soon afterwards, a government clerk dies painfully in mysterious circumstances. That gives you a tone for the book, really. It's almost a little bit spooky season. But no, I really liked this. It does also highlight a lot of the important cultural things of the day and some sort of societal quirks, as well as a lot of kind of religion and politics and kind of royalty-based politics especially, which I find really interesting. I like history, I like historical content, so this, as I said, set in the 1600s in London and a little bit in France as well. So you definitely got a feel for what society was like at that time, and the way people behaved, the jobs they had, you know, their family setups and marriages and things like that. And that might sound very boring to some people, but I quite like it. And you also have murder, which obviously makes things very exciting too, if you're into crime books. So another strong 4 out of 5 stars for this series. Definitely will continue if and when there are more books published, and I will definitely be buying the paperback version of this when it is released to add to my collection on my historical crime shelf. So that was a strong start to the week. As I told you just before, I'm now on to Song of Achilles, so I will go and carry on reading a little bit more of that and check in with you a bit later on. Hello, so it is Saturday morning. Well, actually not even morning anymore, it's 1:20, but never mind. So I am not feeling great today, so very happy for the fact that I have a day to not do really anything, not have any plans, not have anything that I have to leave the house for. I had my latest COVID jab booster yesterday, so if you don't know, I work for the NHS, so we get them early through work, and had been fully expecting to get all the side effects because I had the last time, so had made sure I had it on a Friday after work so that I have at least one day following it that I can be as ill as I need to be and not have to worry about going to work. And as I expected, I have many side effects going on. Nothing too serious, just feel generally rubbish, but it's nothing really that will last. It's okay, you know, and it's better to have it and get these symptoms now and know that I'm not actually ill, rather than having them out of the blue and actually getting COVID again. So never mind. So I'm very pleased, as I said, that I have a day of doing very little. I am just curled up on the sofa at the moment. I have my blanket. I have a steady stream of hot drinks. and I am currently doing some reading, so I'm carrying on with The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I'm nearly halfway through this now, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. As I had hoped for, it's very similar to Circe in the fact that it's beautifully written. I love the way that Madeline Miller tells her stories, and how kind of, it's not exactly whimsical, but there's a quality to the writing that makes you really captivated by it, not just because of the story, but because of the way that she describes the events or the characters. Everything feels special somehow in her books. It's difficult to describe, but I'm really enjoying this so far. Loving learning a little bit more about the ins and outs of these various historical characters. And I just love the main character, Patroclus, however you say his name. He's such a sweetheart. I really, really like him. So I'm so scared for bad things to happen. But no, it's just the book I need today. It's something that's true escapism. So I shall definitely carry on reading a bit more of this. I may try and go out for half an hour or so and just get some fresh air, have a little bit of a walk, because I feel like sitting in the house all day is probably not going to do me any good. So perhaps some fresh air would help. So if I do go for a walk, I will take you along with me, and I'll probably will listen to a bit of an audiobook or something. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe some autumn colours will cheer me up. But anyway, so I will get back to my reading and I will check in with you again later. Hello, so I've come out for a bit of fresh air. I actually feel slightly better outside. It's freezing though, really, really cold, but I'm enjoying seeing a little bit of the autumn colours lingering in the area. Sorry for the traffic noise, but yeah, so I will have another 20 minutes or so and then head back and I think have another cosy evening, but feeling much better for a trip outdoors. So it's a really sunny Sunday morning. I'm having a very nice time driving through the gorgeous sunshine, looking at all the lovely golden autumn colours. It's very, very pleasant. So I'm just off to a tennis match today. I've had a bit of a lazy start to the day because I did actually stay up quite late last night. I watched the sprints with Gavin and Lexi for Believeathon and had a really fun time. Those two are just two of my absolute favourites on BookTube, and seeing them together and just clearly being such best friends is just wonderful. It gives everyone that really cozy vibe, and I just had a lovely time with them. So I was also very productive. I managed to read the entirety of Skin Taker by Michelle Paver, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was I think it's about the 8th book now in the series of, I think it's called The Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, which follows our two main characters, Torak and Ren, and a lovely wolf as well, journeying through the forests and wildernesses of kind of ancient Europe. So I think it's Stone Age or something like that. It's a very, very long time ago when basically the whole continent was a forest. But there are very dramatic events in this book, which I won't spoil for you, but was something I was not expecting in these books at all. But nevertheless works. It makes for a bit of a change up in the pace of the story, and the stakes are different, and it's still a great adventure story. All of these books are wonderful. It's one of my favourite middle grade series, so a strong 4-star for me. Really, really loved this book, and I think there is going to be one more in the series, so I'm both intrigued and terrified of how this story is going to end, because I love the series so much. I don't want to be disappointed by the ending, but solid read. Really enjoyed that one. My final, well, no, not my final book for Believeathon. I still have The Wizard of Oz to finish, but my final book to start for Believeathon, and I've had a really good time with it. I love reading middle grade books, and it's been a very fun month with some very strong picks. So I will stop rambling, I will head off and play my tennis match, and I will check in with you again once I'm back home and hopefully doing a little bit more reading this evening. Hello, so I've just got out of the bath and I'm just checking in to wrap up this vlog once and for all. It's been quite a long one in the end, considering I had a very, very slow start to the vlog and very minimal reading last week. I've more than made up for it this weekend and I'm feeling quite productive. So I have finished off just in the bath reading The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have finally finished out this series for the millionth time. I love The Lord of the Rings. It's one of my absolute favourite fantasy series, as I've said. I've really enjoyed revisiting this world, these characters. This book always makes me sad. It's one of the few books I've ever cried at, and the ending of this is just so bittersweet, so tragic. It's beautifully written, but just absolutely tears your heart out as well. You know, it's one of those that you really don't want to end, and as soon as you finish reading you want to go right back to the start and pick up the story again and just revisit the entire thing, or at least I do. So I've thoroughly enjoyed reading these. They're always 5 out of 5 stars. Return of the King is my least favourite of the series, but I still really enjoy it, and I can't mark this down because the series as a whole is one of my absolute favourites. So I'm very glad to have finally got through this one again. So all in all, I've had a very successful couple of weeks. As I said, this weekend especially, I've read quite a number of books and feel like I've definitely got back on track with my reading for the month. So I'm pretty pleased with my progress. But as I said, enough is enough. I will wrap up this vlog here. So thank you very much for watching. As always, leave me a like down below if you enjoyed it. Chat to me in the comments about any of the books I've read, anything else you'd like to discuss with me. Are any of these your favourites? How's your reading going at the moment? And please consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content from me. It really means a lot. I will see you very soon with another video, so bye for now.